Hey guys, welcome back to the layout finally. This will be quote unquote layout update number 3. Um, there's not a lot to show you on the layout itself, just because, well, I'll get into that later. But the biggest change is the peninsula is now attached, and it's been attached for a few months now, honestly. I just haven't made a layout update. So that's the biggest change it's made for a lot of fun running. Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of layout update number 3. Right now I'm gonna go through a updated locomotive roster. So first up, let me just say that basically everything that I had in my previous roster is now gone and has been replaced by other things. So let's get into it. This is an Athearn Blue Box GP50 high hood project I've been working on. As many of you know, Norfolk Southern in real life has actually been converting these all into the GP33 Ecos. So basically what I went ahead and did is actually renumbered it to one of the final GP50s still in service. 7073 is one of the last 6. And then I've actually added a ton more detail to it. It's got LED lights and lit number boards. The handrails have been painted yellow, which is not something that is stock on the blue boxes, as well as added, if it'll focus, I added separately applied grab irons, as well as the actual number boards themselves. Those are just clear plastic on the stock blue box engines as well. And then I went ahead and gave it a very heavy dose of weathering. It looks pretty great, I must say. This is the first time I've really heavily weathered a locomotive, and I love the way it turned out. So it does have DCC installed. However, I'm having a couple issues with it right now. There's still a little bit more to do. I'm gonna, the horn on top, the rear part of it, there was another horn right there that came off, so I'm gonna replace the horn. And then I also have a snowplow coming and new windows, because those are all messed up too. When I put in the LED lighting, I messed them up. Oh, and I also painted the stair steps, the trim, yellow, which is prototypical as well. So like I said before, I'm debating whether or not I should sell this or not. I don't know what to do with it. I'll decide shortly. I have to figure out what's wrong with the decoder in it first before I can sell it anyway, so I'll figure it out. Okay, so next up is another Athearn product. They're all Athearn products, actually. But this is an Athearn Ready to Roll SD40-2, number 3340. I got this actually pretty shortly after my first layout update, and I just didn't show it in the second one, obviously. This one, I just found out that they actually, the prototype has been redone a little bit. They moved the horn back in here somewhere, and then they put an air conditioning unit on the top, and then moved the Sinclair antenna to the side. So I'm gonna do all that, and then I'll actually put, ooh, whoops, I just broke the handrail. That's unfortunate. But then I'll put the prototype ditch lights on it as well. They won't be working. I'm not going to mess around with the weathering, but I at least like them to look like they have the right ditch lights and everything. So I'll throw those on. And next up is another huge project I've been working on. This is a, originally was an Athearn SD50. I've been going through and basically redoing the whole thing in order for it to be classified as an SD40E. As you can see, maybe focus. Well, anyway, it's been renumbered. I had to put the horse head logos on. I also had to relocate the front and back logos all the way up here. They were down there, and then they had painted on, I think they're called marker lights on it. And then I also put the air conditioning unit on the top. That's going to be similar to what's going to go on the SD40-2 here. And then I have the Sinclair antenna that's supposed to be right here on the side as well. I just don't have it on yet because it keeps falling off. And then I did redo the horn as well, but half of it kind of broke off. The original horn was still up here, but they relocated it on the prototype all the way back here, so I kind of have to get a new horn for it. So this one's almost done. It's actually been lightly weathered too. You can see a little bit of truck grime and everything. Looks pretty good. But basically all that needs to be done to this one is obviously I need to get new number boards for it. I think I'm going to get a whole new window set for it because the windows kind of look a little foggy. I put tape over the top of them when I did the clear coat after the weathering, but for some reason it didn't really work that well. It does have the fake but accurate ditch lights on it. It's a good looking locomotive. I also do, when I weathered it, I took off the handrails, and they're only the front and back ones are broke, but I need to get front and back handrails for it because those are shot now. But that project is as well nearing completion. So next up is another Athearn ready to roll. This is a C40-9W. I think what I'm gonna do with it, I might add the PTCs on top that most of them are getting now. I'm not sure if 9746, the prototype, got it or not yet, but I think I'm gonna do that. And then I'm also, I don't know if any of you know this, but the Athearn ready to roll -9s are not prototypical. At least for Norfolk Southern. The biggest issue is with the front of it here. The headlight is actually on the roof, not on the nose. I don't think I'm going to mess with that just because that's a bigger project that I want to handle. But I think I'm going to, at least the ditch lights are an issue too. The ditch lights are actually up on the walkway here, above it instead of below it. So I think I'm gonna at least move those, and then I'll put the MU hoses on it because it doesn't have MU hoses, unfortunately. So I'll do all that to it at least, to make it at least somewhat prototypical. This one is running a Digitrax sound decoder in it, which I also want to eventually make it have the 7FDL prime mover in it. Right now it's running a 710 turbo in it, which is I think the stock prime mover for the decoder that's in it. I just have to program the decoder itself for the 7FDL16, so I'll do that eventually. And the final locomotive in my active roster, I actually just picked it up today, is an Athearn Genesis SD70 Ace in the New Jersey Central lines paint scheme. This thing is pretty darn cool. This is my first Athearn Genesis locomotive, and I must say, compared to the ready to roll and blue box stuff that I have, as you've seen, I'm very impressed with this thing. It's got the working ditch lights and everything, great weight. I think I'm going to, it's just a DCC ready right now. I think I'm going to throw one of the new Tsunami Econami decoders in there as soon as I can get the money for that too. So there you have it, guys. Alright guys, welcome back to part 3 of this layout update. Now we're going to discuss the future of the layout and some track plans and some other fun stuff. As many of you know, right now I'm down at college, so I haven't been able to mess around with the layout too much. And to be honest, not much is going to change with that layout itself anyway. Um, just because of the fact that I don't know how much longer I'm going to be living at home after I'm done with college anyway. And I don't know if it's going to be worth it to dump money into that layout when I probably will just have to scrap it as soon as I move out and start new. In all honesty, using the Easy Track was probably an awful decision. The stuff's crap, to be completely honest. Um, that combined with the fact that I kind of rushed through the bench work, and it's not the greatest bench work in the world. Um, those two things kind of have led me to the realization that I should just probably scrap that design. Or, well, not necessarily scrap it, but just not dump any more money into it than necessary. So, with that being said, I do want to mention some of my future plans at least. Just like a month ago in the last issue of Model Railroader, they were talking about building a layout one piece at a time. So I kind of started thinking about that and how could I at least have something to work on that I can take with me when I leave and still, you know, not have to dump a ridiculous amount of money into the layout that I already have. And the thing that I came up with is this little switching. It'll be an individual layout by itself at first, but will be eventually incorporated into a another layout of sorts. As some of you may know, I decided that I'm modeling the Norfolk Southern tier line. Now that line runs from Buffalo to Binghamton, New York, and there's a ton of industries that they service in a town called Big Flats, New York. This is my representation of the Corning glass plant in Big Flats. Now I've tried to emulate this track plan as close to the prototype as I can using Google Maps and excursion trips that I've taken down the Southern Tier line. So this is my representation of it, and it's about I believe 6 foot section, so it'll be a nice little switching layout to start. I'll probably work on it more this summer, just so that I can have something to be working on. As you can see, it's got the main line right here, because this is eventually going to be a part of an entire, hopefully, larger layout somewhere down the road. That's the main line, and then right here you have the second track up. This is the passing siding that all of the eventual industries will be off of. There is also going to be a Land O'Lakes dairy plant, a second spur for Corning Glass because they have two different buildings, and then there's also going to be a lumber yard as well that's serviced off of this single spur. That'll be where actually most of the industries on the layout are going to be. Other than that, there'll also be an interchange with Rochester and Southern, which is a smaller railroad that interchanges with the Southern Tier line, as well as the Finger Lakes Railway. But those will be the industries that I have on the layout eventually. Like I'm saying, this will be a layout that's very far down the road. But for now, I'm just working on this. And this will be plenty to keep me busy. So let me know what you guys think. This facility is going to be primarily all hopper cars and everything, servicing it. It'll give me something fun to do in the meantime because of the fact that I can't really do much with the layout that I have now, if I'm being smart with things. So let me know what you guys think.